Sharp Game here, coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com off of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. And somebody asked me, if they're married to a Japanese girl, what's the role? What's his role in the relationship, and what's her role supposed to be? How do they operate? How do they go about having a family? And what can they expect from the woman? And what's the weekly or daily or monthly activities and like? And you know what? One thing, when I first went to Japan, I thought I didn't know anything about Japan. I didn't know where Japan was even located. I heard of it, but I didn't know anything about Japanese culture. I didn't know anything about. I've never met a Japanese girl before in my life until I went to Japan. So the whole thing, it was a whole new experience for me, right? Now, one thing that surprised me is cheating in Japan is kind of accepted if you're married, and jealousy is looked upon as weakness. That's like the worst thing you could ever be as a man. It doesn't really. A jealous man in Japan is the worst. I mean, being jealous anywhere as a man is pretty bad, but in Japan they take it to the next level. In Japan, if guys find out, even and women too, if they find out that you're a jealous guy, they will laugh at you and make fun of you behind your back. They might even laugh in front of your face. So that being jealous, that's the last thing you ever want to do. You know, but they go about it in a different way. It's not jealousy in the way that you would think. You know, you got to think about it. Everything coming from the Western world, every good attribute, every good trait, or everything that's good about you. You might be outgoing, ambitious. You might be, you like to be the best at what you're doing. A lot of that shit is looked down upon in Japan. If you're an ambitious guy, you're friendly, outgoing, you like being around people, a lot of that shit is looked down upon in Japan. You would make most people uncomfortable being friendly and outgoing. So hey, I'm gonna get into it. You know, if you're a married guy, let's say you get married to a Japanese girl, a lot of times, if the guy or girl, if they, let's say it's Friday. The wife might say, hey, I'm going to the beach with some friends for the weekend, some old classmates. And he might say, oh, okay, have a good time or whatever, right? So she might leave Friday, come back Sunday, and more than likely it's going to be some old boyfriends there along with her girlfriends. And, they'll do their thing together, have sex, whatever they feel like doing. Come back home Sunday, and the guy might ask, hey, the husband might ask her, hey, have a good time? Yeah, it was great. And she might say, hey, she might tell some funny stories or what happened or whatever. But don't ask if there were any guys there or any ex-boyfriends there or anything like that. Just let that go. If you start asking too many questions, it's just not going to go over well. And she's going to feel like you're being jealous. And she's going to perceive you as being weak. And she might even go back and tell her friends. So if your wife or your man comes back after having a good time over the weekend, just say, hey, did you have a good time? She'd be like, yeah, okay, just let that go. You know what I'm saying? Don't start asking too many questions. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not going to go well. Because, see, in Japan, you're not supposed to talk about sex. That's a taboo subject. You're supposed to be quiet, keep the harmony, and you just go along with it anyway. It doesn't matter how you feel, or what you think. And then, it's been situations where I might have been hanging with a Japanese girl, right? And it's not unusual for her friends to make a pass at you or say, hey, you're cute, in front of the girl that you're with, whether it's your girlfriend or your wife or whoever. It's not unusual for her friends to say, hey, to make a pass at you, or to say, hey, you have nice skin, you have nice sideburns, or nice lips, or nice haircut. I mean, this is pretty common. It's not unusual for one of her friends to stare at you and start smiling, then make a pass at you. It could happen on more than one occasion. This is not unusual. This is pretty common, and I mean, you can handle that. You can take that any way you want. It's really up to you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you take her friend or anybody else up on the offer of sleeping with them, you don't have anything to worry about. Just don't say anything about it. Just don't talk about it. So I thought it was kind of strange when I first went to Japan. And I've known some other Japanese couples that they have the same type of situation as well. Like, for example, I know a guy that's married, a Japanese guy that's married to a Japanese girl here in America, right? And the same week he got married, he was sleeping with his ex. It gets better. Not only was he sleeping with his ex, his wife and his ex, they're friends now. So they go out together. They take vacations together. They go out together. The ex-girlfriend come to the house with the wife together. His wife will leave and go to work and leave the ex-girlfriend home with him, and he's having sex while she's at work. And then sometimes the ex-girlfriend will come over there early because she's coming over to meet her by the time she gets off work. So instead, what she'll do, she'll come over an hour early, and by the time she gets there, the wife gets there, it's like an hour later, and she'll pretend like she just got there, but she been there the whole time because she was getting fucked. This type of shit, this is the type of shit that happens. But it's all cool because even the wife might have a suspicion, but you're not supposed to talk about it. because you're supposed to keep the harmony. They don't want no drama, and they just want everybody to be happy and be cool. This is not an unusual thing. And then you got some guys that's married to Japanese girls in Japan. They usually get married they usually get married early 20s, sometimes earlier than that. But it's not unusual to meet a girl. Let's say y'all work together, right? It doesn't matter where y'all work at, but let's say y'all work together, right? And all of a sudden, you see her with a ring on her finger. She'd be like, "Oh," I'd be like, "Oh, you engaged?" She said, "Yo, yeah." She might have gotten engaged like last week or something like that. And you'd be like, "Oh, how long you known this guy?" "Oh, I met him like 2-3 months ago. But we got engaged last week." And then if you say, "Hey, how's this guy?" She said, "Oh, he has a good job. He comes from a good family, and he's kind." And I'd be like, "That's it? That's all it take?" And they don't spend a lot of time together. They might see each other once a week for like an hour or two, and they'll go about their business. And they don't spend a lot of time together. And it's not unusual to see a bunch of Japanese women in places like cafes, restaurants. Just pick your favorite restaurant. If you go to Tokyo or Japan or any town with a beachfront, they usually have the big chain restaurants, right? Whether it's Fridays, Red Lobster, Capitol Grill, you name it, right? They usually, if you walk in there, you're gonna see boatloads of Japanese women together. No guy, you might see one guy, if that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, it's kind of weird. A lot of people in Japan, especially a lot of young people in the 20s, they don't they just want to do their thing, hang with their friends or the girlfriends. They don't really like including guys like we do in America. They don't like that for whatever reason. They're just not into being in a relationship for whatever reason. I don't know, So what happened is mostly if they're not spending a lot of time together before they're married, it's going to be like that when they get married as well. And it's not uncommon to see that they live in separate rooms. When they get married, they'll live in a separate room. They won't sleep in the same bed. Now, they might have sex together, you make a baby or whatever, whichever case it is, But, they'll still continue to spend a lot of time with their girlfriends, or he'll spend a lot of time with his buddies or whatever. And they'll go out and do their thing and come back home and act like, nothing happened. So he'll go out and sleep with whoever he want, and come back home, and she'll be like, "Hey, did you have a good time?" She said, "Yeah, I did," and that'll be the end of that. And she'll go out and spend time with her girls and old boyfriends, or maybe some new guys that she probably met. And she'll come back home and she'll be, "Hey, honey, you had a good time?" Yeah, it was fun. And that's the end of that. You know what I'm saying? And now don't ask no questions. If you ask too many questions, it's not gonna go well. You know what I'm saying? You gotta just let that go and pick your battles. It's some stuff. It's hard to accept. Being in a marriage or and living in Japan, it's tough, man. A lot of people. That's why a lot of people that move to Japan and they get jobs over there. A lot of people, they after about 6 months to a year, or whenever the contract is up, they get up out of there, because a lot of people struggle with a lot of the cultural differences that go on, man. And another thing that really I thought was weird is, if it's not unusual to meet a girl and you might you might be thinking y'all hitting it off, y'all vibing and shit. She might have took you home and fuck your brains out, right? And after that, you won't hear from her again. Probably, you might not ever hear from her again. You might see her probably a couple weeks, a couple months later, and you be like, "Hey, how come you? What? I haven't heard from you in a while. How come you don't call me? How come you don't answer my call?" She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You're a nice guy, but I was so busy." So they'll, or you might have the other girl that will spend a lot of time with you. You see her probably once, twice a week. This might go on for go on for months, maybe years. Then all of a sudden, she'll just stop taking your calls and everything, right? And then a couple weeks go by, a couple months go by, you see her, and same thing again. You be like, "Hey, what? How come you don't call me? How come I don't see you no more?" "Oh, I'm so sorry. You're a nice guy, but I'm so busy." This is a common thing in Japan. It's common for a Japanese girl to be talking to a guy and she'll just cut him off and won't take his calls or anything like that. Now, coming from the Western world, if a girl doesn't want to talk to us no more, the girl usually tell us in most cases, or we'll be able to figure it out, right? In Japan, a girl can cut you off and you might not have no idea. I'm serious. You might have no clue. You might have done something or said something that was you weren't even aware of, because coming from where you came from, you don't understand the culture, and she knows this, but at the same time, a lot of these girls is taking advantage of you, being that you're new, being that you don't speak Japanese. So, and on some levels, she's taking advantage of the new guy. You're fresh meat to her, So this is kind of a common thing. If you talk to a lot of guys that's been in Japan for a while, this sort of thing happens to every guy. Every guy that's a foreigner, he's met some woman in Japan, and they might have talked for a while, spent a little bit of time together, and after that, he never seen or heard from her again. And if he did see her again, it's weeks and months, maybe years later. And it's a common thing. And it's just if you've been following me for a while, I said in previous videos that guys in almost every culture, when it comes to cheating and they basically do whatever they want. There's a double standard in society, really all around the world, really, because I've said that every place that I've ever been, the guys are able to do what they want, right? But when you come to America, when it comes to us, African American males, they try to change the rules on us. They be like, "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that." And I've experienced this with some Japanese girls as well. If they were the Japanese guy, oh, he can basically do whatever he wants. he get pass after pass after pass. But when I got with her, that's when she tried to change the rules. So you're gonna run into that as well too. You're gonna run into those types where they want to control you again because they know you're new. They know that you don't know everything about the Japanese culture, if anything. So these are just some type of. These are just some things I found out by living in Japan and just being around a lot of Japanese people. The way they go about having relationships and being married it's very different, and it's something that a lot of people can't accept. I mean, a lot of women and men and women can't accept cheating. They can't accept not being able to express themselves in the relationship, thinking that there's going to be some type of drama. Because coming from the Western world, if something's on our minds, we feel the need to speak about it so we can move forward. But in Japan, no, that's not the case. No, the way they move forward is just not to talk about it. That's how they move forward. Because if you talking about it in itself is a problem. And that's going to be seen as, you're kind of a troublemaker. And if you keep doing that with a Japanese girl, it's going to be some consequences of that, because they won't invite you in certain circles around certain people. But at the same time, they're not going to tell you that. They'll just do it behind your back and act like it's cool. Go figure. So if you got any questions, and if you like what you heard, leave your comments below and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, Sharp Game is out. Peace.